If your racks to the point of jamming, this video might help you.
All right, we've got a friend with a racking problem on a ribber. Now you'll see that I have this where it'll slide all over the place. Normally, this screw would be in that hole to stop the ribber plate, which is this black piece right underneath here, from walking too far underneath the bracket. And the picture he sent me has already done that.
Apparently his screws were loose, which is how come that happened, right?
And I've been accused of that many, many times.
Loose screws?
Yes, but his came out.
Golly.
So there, I haven't had that yet. There was a screw there, and there's normally a screw here. And that stops the plate movement, this being the plate. And
Point to the plate with something other than
okay,
this
is the plate.
Yeah.
This is what you see if you have your ribber upside down.
Or if you are upside down.
Or if you're upside down. This normally goes here, handle goes in here. Now the declivity in the handle that clicks into place when the handle's lined up right is actually that little rod right there, and I'm going to pull the rod out and show you. It lays in this groove. Normally, and see, there's my wheel, and the wheel lives in there. Normally, these two plates are put down together. This is the spacer. This is the drive housing. Normally, they're put down together so that everybody stays put, and they'll actually stick on the grease. So most of the time, this is what happens. You pick it up, and you don't realize this little plate will fall right off. This spacer plate will come off. I always lay it upside down so the spacer plate stays. Now, back to the problem. All right, now we're back to the actual problem, and look, this plate will move back and forth, and we can't get in there to adjust this slider plate so that these screw holes will line up again without getting this off. Now, let me show you how this works. I'm going to be the drop-down ribber assembly myself and get it to this position where I can rotate it around, and these are the screws that you need to take off to get this to free. So let's try that and we'll get back. All right, this nut was on the bottom side of the little teeny tiny screw that you see right there that you can't get a screwdriver into. And we were trying to get the end cap off, and this is what we discovered. It's slotted right there, so you don't have to take the nut all the way off. All you have to do is loosen it, and then this end cap will come off. All right, once you've got this clamp rotated horizontal, you can take it right off.
It just lifts straight up vertically.
Yeah, it comes off because that slotted area fits right out of there. Okay, so that's gone. We pulled these two screws out from these holes right here. Here they are, these little guys. Now watch what happens when we slide our plate over to a certain spot and it comes right off. These are the stops in these two tracks, but when they line up just right, they'll come right out. And here's your posts. And if you put it in and slide it over, you see what you can see? So this post lines up right there, and then a little wiggle like you always have to do with these, and it'll come right out. Now,
so in the case where it racked too far and jammed in that position, which is our friend's situation, right, this should have freed that issue, and now we need to put it back correctly, right?
Yes, now here's what we're looking at. These two screws, this is the final stop right here that I didn't want to go past. And this is what we're seeing in his picture. This has slid out from under there, and I'll show you. See, the screws he had loose, these two are probably also loose. So let me loosen them.
Well, if this ever happens, you probably want to check all your screws.
Yeah, like I said, I've been accused of that before.
I'm trying to think what would loosen them over time, and I'm guessing
travel.
That's what I was thinking, is that these machines get shipped and there's a long vibrational period. Is that what you think?
That's what I'm thinking. And these are so loose in this one.
Yeah, not. Ours didn't travel the same way it says, evidently.
Yeah, right. Ours has been sitting on a shelf for quite some time now. Okay, we've loosened these two screws. The stop, which is two pieces, is out of the way. Now watch. If I keep this flat, it still won't go past this lip. But since it's loose, his has slid all the way over to right there.
Well, no wonder you can't manually correct it from there.
Right.
You've got to get it apart.
Turn it over now, and this is what his picture looks like.
Yep.
Only his is still on the track, so you're seeing this screw hole and this screw hole nowhere near where they should be.
So let me see if I understood, since I am the lesser mechanic, if I understood, perhaps all of our friends will. You really must get the ribber off of the machine.
Yes.
Even if you have to turn the whole thing upside down and manually slide it out of the ribber brackets, right?
Yes. Whatever it takes to get the ribber off the bed.
And from that point, this assembly needs to be lifted off of this area.
Right. And there's two screws right here. And you'll notice this slides.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to put your screws back in, I was all the way to one side to get to those screws. So here we are. I'm going to just pretend we're back together there. It's got to go down so that those screws holes line up here. So when this moves, it moves this indicator along with it.
But after getting the assembly off of here, we flip it over.
Right.
Correctly realign what you just showed us.
We loosen this final stop, Paul, with these two screws. We line it back up. We hold this in place. We tighten these screws down, which I will do just gently to show.
Once you've tightened it, let's take a good look at what the correct alignment is so somebody could use that as a reference point.
Yeah. All right, the way this is, I'll hold it. You can see there is a metal V right here. This is a stiffener plate. The bottom plate is your lock plate with a V in it, and it stops this from going any farther than it is. When you're racking, you hear the click, 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 and what you're hearing is these grooves flexing underneath that little V. Click, click, click.
But it should only be permitted to enter grooves or slots, not any other positions.
Right, and the picture he showed us, we're seeing that V stop and no plate. So the plate has gone out of its valley and into the side of the
And the
plate.
loose screws that he was unaware were loose were probably permitting that action.
Right, I bet these two screws were also loose because we couldn't get ours to do it. We had to take it off and see how we were going to get that plate past this area of the slot, and we couldn't do it. And I bet that these two screws are also loose. So let me show you. I have this tightened up. We lined these two posts with those two holes, and we're in there, and we slide over until these screws line up in these holes. There's one, and the plate wants to walk under there a little bit, so I would start it and then get a tiny little screwdriver and walk it over till it lines up. Now we're back to normal. I am racking away like crazy. We have not put our clamp back on, but we'll show you a still of that.
We popped the end cap back on while working on the assembly and then had to remove it again for access to reassemble. So here's a little look at that. Other features of end cap removal and replacement are almost just like those for the main bed, and that is fully covered in other brother assembly and disassembly videos. You've seen the whole thing come apart, but just for clarity, here is a series of stills showing the reassembly order so that you don't get confused.
All right, here we are. We are back in business. We're to the right now. Oh, the indicator's working right now. We're going to the left. We're going through our numbers. We're going to run all the way down to the 10 Ta-da!
It
And now
does
we're
stop.
going right again.
Okay, cool.
So we're right where we need to be, and we're back in business. Let's hope our friend is too.